Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to follow up on a straightforward question that I posed to these Liberals recently during question period and did not get an answer to. And that question is, which top Liberal broke the law by leaking classified CSIS information? In an explosive story, the Globe and Mail reported, based upon a top national security source, that during the 2019 election, the member for Don Valley North was tipped off that he was being monitored by CSIS. Recently, at the public inquiry on foreign interference, it was confirmed that 3 top Liberals, all connected closely to the Prime Minister, received a classified CSIS briefing during the 2019 election that Beijing interfered on behalf of the member for Don Valley North to secure the Liberal nomination. One of the top Liberals then briefed the Prime Minister's top advisor and the then National Liberal campaign director, Jeremy Broadhurst, about the contents of that classified briefing. It's important to note that Mr. Broadhurst had the appropriate security clearance to receive that information. Broadhurst then briefed the Prime Minister. So, Mr. Speaker, here's what we know. We know that 5 top Liberals, including the Prime Minister himself, either received a classified CSIS briefing or were informed about the contents of that classified briefing. It follows, therefore, that it is almost certain that one of those 5 Liberals, perhaps the Prime Minister himself, leaked the classified information that led to the member for Don Valley North being tipped off that he was being monitored by CSIS. Whoever the leaker is within the Prime Minister's inner circle, they committed something that is very, very serious in terms of what they did. They compromised CSIS's sources and methods. They undermined an intelligence operation into Beijing's interference in our democracy. They violated their oath of secrecy, and they committed a serious offense under legislation in which they could be punished and sent to jail for up to 14 years under the Security of Information Act. Someone in the Prime Minister's inner circle broke the law by putting the partisan interests of the Liberal Party ahead of Canada's national security. So, which top Liberal broke the law? Who is the criminal leaker? Just a name, please.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans and the Canadian Coast Guard.
Mr. Speaker, we've all been following closely the proceedings of the public inquiry into foreign interference into Canada's democratic institutions. As members of this House will recall, in fact, our government convened the inquiry with the support of every party leader in this very House, and we all recognize how important it is to maintain the integrity of our democratic institutions. This week we heard from the Prime Minister and his staff, as well as senior public servants and intelligence officials, as they outlined the various ways intelligence is shared and used within the government to keep Canadians safe. The story here is quite simple, Mr. Speaker. As the Director of CSIS outlined on Friday, CSIS has been talking about foreign interference and foreign threats for many years, both inside and outside of government, to officials, ministers, and to Canadians. It has always been clear that foreign interference is a serious, serious threat to Canadian democracy. In response to those warnings, Mr. Speaker, and these warnings, the government has taken several decisive actions, beginning with the plan to protect democracy before the 2019 election. Over the course of the 2019 and 2021 federal elections, the Security and Intelligence Threats to Elections Task Force, they coordinated efforts against foreign interference by assessing threats and sharing intelligence and briefing the panel and ministers and political parties. Most recently, Mr. Speaker, our government has been consulting Canadians on possible legislative amendments to ensure we have the right tools and authorities to keep Canadians safe. And to ensure that these measures we have taken are the right ones, we have convened the public inquiry and asked Canada's National Security review bodies of NSIRA and NSICOP to look into the matter. Our government, Mr. Speaker, has supported an unprecedented level of transparency about sensitive national security issues. As members know, however, the protection of classified information is of the utmost importance. The Director of CSIS noted on Friday that an intelligence service must be able to protect the information it collects in order to succeed in protecting Canadians. Any leak of classified information is therefore dangerous and is something the government will never tolerate. Members also know that it would be inappropriate to discuss national security investigations in this House. That is not how we will ensure the protection of sensitive information. The government has confidence in security services, and we must let them perform their work. Mr. Speaker, foreign interference in Canada has not been a secret. The government and our intelligence officials have been telling Canadians about this for years, and we've taken decisive action to counter it and to continue to bolster our response. And we're being as transparent as possible with Canadians about this challenge. The public inquiry and national security, Mr. Speaker, review bodies are ensuring our responses are appropriate. All Canadians, Mr. Speaker, have to play a role in countering national security threats such as foreign interference. That includes members of this House, and I look forward to continue working together accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for St. Albert, Edmonton.
Mr. Speaker, this government has been anything but transparent. Indeed, since the Globe and Mail story broke, the Liberals have been in full cover-up mode. We know that a top Liberal leaked classified CSIS information, undermining an intelligence operation. It is a serious criminal offense. In doing so, punishable by up to 14 years behind bars. There are 5 Liberals: Azam Ishmael, Brayden Cayley, Matthew LaFrance, Jeremy Broadhurst, or the Prime Minister himself, who likely leaked the classified information. So who is the top Liberal who is the criminal leaker? Is it the Prime Minister himself?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the question. I want to reiterate the seriousness with which the government is addressing the threat of foreign interference. We have great confidence in the work of the government agencies and departments charged with protecting our democratic institutions. Their intelligence and information that they collect and share have enabled us to have such a good understanding of the challenges and foreign interference posed to Canadians. I will also reiterate how important it is that CSIS and the security and intelligence communities are able to protect that sensitive information. Our national security, the safety of sources, and the advantage of our trade craft and the future of our partnerships depend on it. At his previous appearance at the Foreign Interference Inquiry, the Director of CSIS spoke about how unauthorized releases of classified information are dangerous in several ways. Not only do they make it difficult for intelligence services to do their work, Mr. Speaker, but the release of specific pieces of information do not paint a complete picture. That leads to misinterpretations or incorrect conclusions. Members know it would be inappropriate to discuss media allegations and unsubstantiated information in this House, and I would urge them to keep this in mind. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.